Welcome back to the Gym Leader Chat Lounge podcast. I am here with my co-hosts, Tony Saya
Hello.
and Mr. Benjamin Morse.
Good afternoon, everybody.
We got a full episode for y'all here this week. I don't know what to say, man. I'm not an intro guy. I'm an outro guy. I'm an outro guy.
Now everyone in the comments can rank us. We've all done intros. Go in, tell us who your favorite intro person to do intros is.
Hashtag I stand with Tony.
I was gonna say, John, your like initial intro was like so like it was just so smooth. I was like, man, this is like a nice like NPR voice going on.
That's all I had in me. That's all I had. I like introduce myself and the co-host, and that's where my intro skills end.
You got further than me. I don't even think I introduced you guys. I just said, "What's up?"
All right, I think your job is safe.
It's been a fun time to pass it off. But welcome back, everybody. And John, thank you for introducing all of us. Yeah, the 3K is over. We can't milk it anymore. We're gonna have to come up with some new topics, right? Now we have a long list of ideas that we want to do in the future. But for this one, if you saw, I posted on YouTube and Twitter, just asking you guys what you want to hear from us, to gauge some, what do you guys want, and we added some of those to our ideas list for future episodes. But in this episode, we are going to go over responding to some of your guys' comments that aren't necessarily like full episode material, but just, something that we can quickly touch on. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to respond to some of your guys' comments after we go over our Full Grip League. So yeah, it'll be a great episode. Any highlights non-Pokemon this week that you guys have to share?
Not really anything crazy for me. I watched a lot of the Coachella live streams this weekend.
Anything good?
It's like a couple of my favorite artists. There was Geese performance and Alex G performance, so I was tuned in for those.
Nice.
Other than that, just a boring weekend for me. Nothing to do.
Nothing non-Pokemon, but I have been hooked at playing the absolute mess out of Champions. I've been playing a lot of Champions, dude.
Me too.
That's awesome. I tried like in Sword and Shield era to like get into VGC a little bit, and creating teams is just like was just so tedious, and the barrier to entry was so much just to get a team together, and how quick it was to just like transfer some Pokemon over, change some stats, and like start playing. Dude, it's a lot of fun, and then the games are just so snappy and quick. Like you can just like hop into the next one, and just it makes you keep wanting jumping in. So that's been like my weekend has been that.
Yeah. Yeah, same. What team are you running right now?
It's just like I copy pasted something. It's a Sun team with like the Mega Charizard, the Venusaur, and that crew there.
Nice. That's a classic. That's a
What about you?
2014 classic.
Yeah.
I have also been hooked on Champions. I've been a Pokemon fan my whole life, and I was into the video game way more than I was into cards for a long time. So when X and Y came out, I did have a VGC stint. I was going to local tournaments, and I went to one regional in San Jose. And I went like 3-2, 3-3 or something. I don't even remember how many rounds they had back then. But yeah, it was super fun. Me and one of my other friends, shout out Connor, we'd be cooking. We'd be in the lab all the time, and it was fun to go to these tournaments. I don't even remember what team I played there in. It was Mega format. But yeah, I'm not sure. I don't remember what I played, but I remember my younger brother, who would have been in this seniors division at the time, wanted to come. Wasn't that experienced, just wanted to have a fun mess around time. So me and Connor built him a team with 6 Pokemon that had the move Explosion just to troll people at the regional. So he signed up for the regional, and he would pair into his opponents who were like actually trying to win, and he just click Explosion on all of his guys. There's a Mega Glalie. I think he played Mega Glalie. Was a team we built, because Glalie has. Does the Explosion become Ice type for Mega Glalie? I don't remember.
I think it's something like that. I think I remember Glalie doing something with Explosion.
Yeah.
So
This is
that
so
sounds
far
right.
out of my realm of knowledge of Pokemon. I'm not even gonna.
Yeah, but
No comment.
that was just a highlight of just building that goofy team, and then hearing his experience after, like his opponents were just like so confused, just like, what are you even doing here, bro?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I think it glaciate. I think it turns like normal. It's one of the things that turns normal moves to the specific type. So it has glaciate. I think. Yeah. So
Yeah, that sounds correct. So it's a way for the explosion to hit to hit ghost types, because normally they're immune to
mhm.
explosion. But the Mega Glalie, that's gonna win you the game. Um, no, I don't
That's
think he
so
won any
funny.
games, but it was funny. But now in Champions, I'm stoked. Yeah, that barrier to entry, like it just became too much work to really handle. I would
Mhm.
hop on showdowns every now and then for the past decade, but I'm excited for Champions to be here, and I've been running like just off of like the initial Pokemon I had. I built a team around Mega Gyarados with Garchomp, Sylveon, and like Arcanine, and just some other
Mhm.
like strong guys I had. And that was pretty good. It got me up to Ultra Ball tier, and I'm quickly needing to like actually build a more real team from
Yeah, it got a lot harder in Ultra Ball. I was feeling like, I'm pretty sure in the Pokeball tier, it literally throws like computers at you at the start. Like
oh,
I
for
don't think
sure.
it's real people for some of it. And but like you hit Ultra Ball and it actually I was like, "Oh, I actually need to know what I'm doing now," which I don't because I don't play a lot of VGC. But I mean, the other thing that's made it really easy, and I've heard like a lot of the VGC people complain about, is like the limited number of Pokemon and limited number of items. But for someone like myself who doesn't like play and is not as familiar with the scene, it is a lot easier to grasp when there's just like less stuff going on. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's absolutely the perfect way for new people to get in. So I am really happy that they made it more limited, because they've introduced so many new items and mechanics in the last decade that even me, who followed, like I will watch VG streams now and then. There's like I follow different VGC content creators, um, but I still couldn't tell you like what every single held item that has been released does, like that are now like very meta relevant. But those aren't in Champions right now, so I don't have to worry about them yet.
Dude,
um,
talk about new moves. I got hit with a slow bro used a move. I had to look up what it was because I'd never heard of this before. It was like chilling something, and the description of the move was like it tells a bad joke or something so bad that the room becomes cold and like the snow effect starts, and then it leaves battle.
oh,
And
what?
that was yeah, it was chilling something. It was like a cold. Yeah, I don't know exactly what it was,
Hey,
but it
bro.
was I was just so unfamiliar with where we are now
Bro, I've
Never
in
put
never
that
video
one out of my
games.
book.
Yeah,
I've never even heard of that one. Haven't No one's used that against me yet, bro. Um,
just wait.
yeah, yeah, Champions been all about that. But anyways, back to now that everyone has clicked off the podcast of the TCG, Tony included, we are gonna
Checked
just
out.
move right on. First thing we've got to shout out is, if you haven't heard, Dimension Valley is officially banned starting on April 20th. So you have just over a week to use it before it's gone, unless you're like Full Grip and we've already moved on from it. But yeah, Dimension Valley, goodbye. John, you baked these delicious Dimension Valley themed cupcakes in remembrance on Thursday. They were very good. Thank you.
Yep, yep. I always thought the little dots in the Dimension Valley card looked like confetti sprinkles, so it felt like the perfect time to use that.
Absolutely.
So,
They were delicious. And it was quite a celebration on Thursday with I think this is our fourth time hitting the party hats at League since we started it a couple months ago. Um, Chase, happy birthday. Brought us
Happy
all the
birthday,
party
Chase.
hats and got this good picture out of it. So, yeah, good time. If you want to create some fun traditions at your community, you just got to start doing it. I brought party hats, it was on my birthday, and cookies. And since then, everyone's been doing the same. It's been great.
it's become part of the culture at GLC at Full Grip Games. It's like party, people bringing in cookies, cupcakes, whatever, sweet treats. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I think we have another one this week too. I think more, unless
There's
we're
like
doing it the
three
week
birthdays
after.
coming up this next week, I think.
Yeah, we
People
have
were
three
talking, and it's gonna
people.
be it's gonna be possibly the biggest Full Grip birthday bash yet.
It'd
My
be
birthday all falls on a Thursday this year,
let's
so
go. It'd be so funny if on like all three of them bought party hats, and then you just have to wear 3 party hats. Back into League this week. We banned Dimension Valley, like I said, so Dimension Valley nowhere to be seen at our Thursday night this week, and Psychic completely absent from the top 8. Not necessarily because D Valley was banned, but I think it had a very low play rate. I actually didn't calculate the number of people playing Psychic. Maybe I should do that real quick. I have it right
I think
here.
I only saw one person. I'm pretty sure it was just Thad.
He was the only person I saw playing Psychic.
It was.
So
It was literally Thad was the only person playing Psychic this week. Brave Thad. Everyone just like trying new things, I guess. And
Yeah.
so many people have won the Psychic badge already. But shout out to us. Look at all of us right here. 2nd, 3rd, 4th place GLCL crew in the top 4. Love to see it. Unfortunately, no badge. That went to Dillon
Sorry,
Ryan
y'all.
once again. Back-to-back wins for Dillon. He also won Standard League this week. That's 3 Full Grip tournaments in a row that Dillon has won. He's just a monster. I beat him in the finals on our other league, so I like to say I'm the only one that could beat Dillon right now. I didn't get to play him this week at Thursday night, but if I had, he wouldn't have won. I'll say that.
So what's he? He's like 19-1 right now between the events. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep, 19-1
Yeah.
between 3 GLC nights and 1 standard night.
Holy cow! What a beast.
He has like a psychological lock on me right now because last Thursday when he won with Psychic, I lost to him at table 1, round 5. If I would have won, it would have been like a 4-1 off. There would have been like 4 of us. And then Tuesday at our other store, he was my only loss of the night. And then Thursday, little preview, I lost to him again at table 1. We were the 2 4-0s, and he beat me again. He's got my number completely.
He's your bracket demon.
He's my bracket demon now.
That's right. Yep. Well, maybe this week you can get over that. Maybe he'll be playing a bad type this week, and you can just destroy him.
Hopefully, bro.
He's gonna come up. We have 2. He's won with Dwixty last week. He won with Dwagons this week. We're about to name a 3rd deck next week.
No. No.
No.
I'm here to end the Dillon Glaze.
All right.
Okay. I was number 1 Dillon Glazer.
We need the
And now I'm
Antixty, bro.
ending
We
it.
need the Antixty.
Listen, it's coming later in the episode.
That's right. We're
You
shouting out
guys
the
are gonna get a
Antixty
preview.
later.
Yeah.
So Dillon on Dragons in first, Tony and John 2nd and 3rd with the Arch Nemesis metal deck. Yours truly in 4th with Barbie Yama, followed by Andrew Mahone bubbling out, also at 4-1 with Barbie Yama. And Barbie Yama is not like a specific build of fighting, but it is one. I'm coining the term Barbie Yama just for decks that include Barbarical and Hariyama, just as a putting that out there, okay? Barbie Yama. Then we've got JD on Hydro Pump, Alex on Evo Dragons. Did he play Kevin Baxter's list?
No, I'm pretty sure him and Dillon same 60.
Okay, so he was on the Dwagons as well.
The Dwagons, yes.
And then rounding out 8th is Chris Harch on a Machamp build of Barbie Yama. Yeah, I mean, Dillon obviously is the hot one right now. Notable absent, Kai, taking his first non-4-1 league appearance since he started showing up.
Shame.
Couldn't do it. I beat him in the fighting mirror. And then he threatened to drop to reduce my resistance. Yeah, it was a fun league night. I decided to play fighting because I just expected a lot more fighting in the room, which there was, and my other deck choice, Diggersby, just I wasn't confident in it. So it went all right. But yeah, how about you guys? Still rocking with the metal? How you feeling about it?
Yeah, still tinkering with the deck a little bit, making a few changes here and there. But it's a fun list to play. It's got a good chance into a lot of things. I'm not liking the way that Barbie Yama is emerging. Another deck that has some like a few ways to, um, a few evolutions to attack with. So meta is shifting, so it might not stay a good pick for full grip for the coming weeks. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've kind of grown to like love this deck. It's like the way it plays is like exhilarating. Always
You
making
know,
comebacks and stuff.
Is this the week growth? Because I'm pretty sure last week you had minced words to say about this
I
deck.
definitely did. I definitely did. But I read the comments, and Andrew's in the comments telling me to lock in, telling me to focus, that the deck is already good enough, and I took those words to heart.
and it paid off.
Yeah.
It did.
Did pay off. Before we get into your guys' deck list, here we'll just show off Dillon's real quick, his 5-0 Dwagons deck list, featuring the Jet Cruise Dragonite as a way to reduce all of your Pokemon's retreat to 0. Pairs really well with the Turbo Blaze Reshiram and the Tatsugiri that both have abilities that work in the active. You can retreat them out for free. And then you also got stuff like Garchomp and Dracloak. And then your good slew of basic dragon attackers. So this is the Dwagons deck as it exists when Dillon got his badge right now. So congrats, Dillon, on getting that good finish. And then Tony, just keep it going. What's cooking this week?
So if you listened last week, you'll know I made a couple of deck list errors and had an unoptimal list, but I went ahead and changed those. Put back in or took out the rescue stretcher and made sure I had the correct amount of energy, the 10 energy, and I'll say my metal makers were hitting this week. I was on Tuesday I hit a 3. I hit 3 off a metal maker
Dang.
and just instantly powered up a Zamazenta.
Nice.
Honestly, that might be that's my badge moment. It wasn't even on Thursday night. But it was so good, and that was a part of a sick comeback game against a dragon deck too. So,
nice.
Yeah, I made sure to play with the optimal list this week, and unfortunately, could not get it done against Dillon. I have to say that after playing that matchup a couple times now against Dillon specifically, man, it feels so insanely rough. I would like just thinking through it in my head, like every game he goes aggro with Raging Bolt, and like the metal deck is just like naturally a slower deck to kind of build the board state. So the fact that my best answer to Raging Bolt is my Zamazenta, and that takes 3 energy. And he can snipe my 60 and 70 HP guys with, like a Turbo Blaze. He could just go super duper aggro while I'm still building my board. And I really can't do anything. Like, I can't recover my guys. They're just gonna get spawned and camped. Metal doesn't have access to a bench barrier. So I was talking to Dillon about it, and it honestly feels like the whole matchup would be fixed if my Iron Crown could knock out Raging Bolt. But Metal just lacks the low to the ground guy that can hit the 130 is the magic number, and Iron Crown only hits 120. So you kind of need like an insane combination of cards to feel like you can match the aggression that Dragon can really put forward. And honestly, that's gonna be my bust for this week is gonna be the Dragon matchup, because again, lost to it on Tuesday. My only 2 losses this week were to the same person on the same deck, so that felt pretty miserable. But I'm happy with how the deck played overall, and unless I end up building some spice or find something that I like, I'm probably going to be sending this going forward until I get my badge with it.
Did you play against any of the Barbie Yamas?
I did. I played against 2. I played against 2, and I won them both. And I felt pretty comfortable in the matchup. Or no, I played against 2 fightings. Only one of them had Hariyama.
Right.
but the other one I played against did have Lucario,
Hmm.
so there was some threat to my board or my Arcalodon. Um, I felt like every game I'm gonna go down, but like eventually I'm gonna build like a good enough board state to where I could like disrupt, whether that be like an actual fit like hand disruption or like a counter catcher on the Riolu Lost City. I felt like I always like came around to that turn, and after I did that, it was pretty easy from there.
For sure, for sure. And now you keep saying you have the optimal list, but I've seen a lot of hate about Noah's skateboard, bro. What?
Listen,
What? Tell us what you think and why Noah's
so
skate.
I don't think you need the escape board because I mean certainly it would be like a nice card to have, but it only really works on a Jirachi. All of your other guys are thick retreaters. And ideally, your Jirachi will just get you into the game off of the Stellar Wish, and you won't have to worry about it anymore. Like, you don't, like, if you're relying on Stellar Wishing back to back turns, the game is, I don't want to say lost because you can make insane comebacks with this deck, but it's definitely not where you want to be. And you don't really need to like you don't ever want to retreat your Jirachi to preserve it. Like you want to be building up something big on the bench, like your Zamazenta or your Arcalodon. So it feels like it's just like a sacrifice. You kind of want that thing to get knocked out. You want Stellar Wish to get you value, but like that's fine. My deck's gonna fall behind anyway, most likely. So knock that out. I'm coming up with an Arcalodon, and I'm gonna counter catcher whatever thing you got evolving on your bench.
What did you play a skateboard or not, John? What's your take on that?
I did. I was I was gonna hold off until my list and my chat here. I don't want to
Well, okay. So
speak on
Tony,
Tony's, but
are you done, Tony? Got anything else to add?
I'm done. I'm done.
All right, we'll go over to John's.
cool.
This is the Archal. By the way, I wanted to show this on screen just so
Hmm.
you can see. This is the Archalodon we're talking about in the deck. It attacks for 120 for three metal and says it blocks all damage from basic Pokemon. So it's just a big wall to a lot of the meta. So that's the idea behind the deck. But yeah, John, go ahead. This is John's version of the deck.
Yeah, so as as pointed out, notably there is an escape board at this list. I did try this out. I saw the same comment that Andrew made on our video last week that Tony did. You know, we gotta adhere to what the creator, the almighty creator of the deck, is saying, and take his words, you know, seriously. So I made some changes. I made that change that he was talking about there. He also mentioned that you could maybe drop Hex, and I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense, honestly. When you've got Boss Guzma and Hex, there's a lot of supporters in the deck that can like that you're trying to play to like affect your opponent's board, and so like that's a little much. You just kind of want maybe some more consistency in there. But I really did like the escape board. It worked. So I agree. I agree with what Tony was saying that like you just kind of want to push Jirachi up early and just like let it get knocked out while you set up your board. But I had 2 games where I, like, got the Jirachi in play and was able to use it, and I got the escape board on it both times, and it just stuck. It didn't get field blowered or anything, and, like, man, when that happens, and just between every turn, you're just, like, pushing up your Jirachi between every knockout, you're just pushing up your Jirachi and, like, getting another resource off of it. We've mentioned in Psychic that, like, Mew is kind of like the glue that's, like, holding that whole deck together. That's really what Jirachi can feel like too when you do have the escape board. Now, like, I agree with Tony, like, the reason I didn't have it in here before is, like, the chances of you getting it on Jirachi, and if it gets field blowered anyway, it also doesn't retreat your 2 retreat guys. It's only a 1 retreat buff. But kind of tried to balance that out a little bit by instead of like the Mallow and Lana, I also don't have the Crystal Cave, so no healing, and I switch out of the Mallow and Lana to switch to an escape rope in this one. Just another way to pivot that Jirachi out of the active and just like a consistency piece that's not a supporter card to be able to do that effect. So yeah, I did that, and then the last notable change here in the list from last week is I added the Klefki in. I mentioned specifically in the Hydro Pump matchup that I was facing, I thought that this Klefki is really good into decks that don't have a lot of switch and retreat options, and you can really kind of turn into a controlled deck out strategy with this, or just buy yourself the turn to um, uh, get set up or buy a turn where they can't attack and take a knockout so that you can get your next attacker set up if you don't have it immediately. Sort of aided this by the Clara that I also switched in for one of the rods to be able to. The idea kind of being that you can just kind of push clef key, use memory lock, and hopefully buy a turn where you Clara to get your ideally Duraludon back and just like attach an energy to it because you got both of those. Clara's just, if you can use it, is just feels so much better. Ben, I think you brought this up in testing when we were working on this deck that like just getting the guy back to hand and right immediately on the bench with the Clara is so much less work than using a rod and having to dig it out of the deck.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, those were the changes I made. I felt like the Klefki and the Clara combo is like is a good if you have one, if you have the Clara, the Klefki is a guy that can buy that turn. So
And did the Klefki come up
um
much?
so I played against two Hydro Pump decks, and it was just I won both of them. The Klefki was just like it was not the way the game played out. The only thing that Klefki did was in my loss against Dillon, as I poked with Memory Lock for 30 into a Tatsugiri, and then I attached Muscle Band and took the 2-hit knockout with it. So it was a guy that attacked for 1 energy, which isn't nothing. But I mean, I still think it could be useful in those situations. It's just like I said, I just happened to had a really dominant hunter. I played hunter against with the hydro pump, and he just did not get set up. He had a hand just like full of water energies from what he told me, and I just kept taking knockouts. And then played against Craig on his powerful Squall deck, which is another hydro pump variant. And again, I just was able to just keep pace, and this is kind of Klefki kind of feels like for if you fall behind, and just in those matchups I wasn't falling behind. So I didn't use it much. I still think it could be good.
Hmm.
I kind of want to keep it in the deck just to try it a little more. So
Yeah.
um yeah, I don't have like a defined. I mean, my bust is probably getting my, butt handed to me by Dylan.
You
I agree 100% with Tony. Like everything about that matchup just feels so, just an uphill battle, like
It's
pretty
so bad,
unwinnable.
dude. It's so
That
bad.
both of their evolutions, the can one shot the Argalodon, the Raging Bolt issues. I was having the same problems. You're just a slower deck, and Dragon can really capitalize on that with its speed. So Tony mentioned that like not being able to knock out the Raging Bolt. The Dialga is something that like it's another reason that Dialga feels like such a necessary evil in the list because it can hit that 140 to get those numbers. So you kind of have to be. It's just like just want to give a little shout to the Dialga there because that's a card that like it feels like you don't really want it in the deck sometimes, but it's necessary. So it's another reason it's there. But yeah, my bust would have been the loss to Dylan there on the wagons. It's just such a tough matchup. Um, but I mean, I don't really have a specific badge moment. Like I said, my wins were kind of pretty straightforward. And yeah, beyond, I think I'll hang on to the Klefki for a little longer. I liked this build. This build felt solid this week. So yeah,
I like
that's all
it.
I got.
I'm kind of convinced that Escape Board is the play. I think just the value you can get out of Jirachi is just too good to not have, you know? It's like you said, if you don't mind going behind anyways, and you end up getting one of your 2 cost guys stuck in the active because you couldn't search out your air balloon that turn, it's just like, all right, now he's your sacrifice, but now you have Jirachi. So it's like,
Mhm.
I kind of think Escape Board might be the truth. You should try it.
I think I would put in the Metagross before I put in the escape board.
That's crazy.
I don't think that's that crazy.
The
Are
Metagross
you
is
talking the
cool.
escape rope Metagross?
I'm talking
The one
the free
that's
retreat Metagross, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a Metagross that
Listen,
gives all
I'm fine
Pokemon
if
free
my
retreat.
Jirachi dies. I'm fine if it dies.
Yeah, I know, but imagine if it didn't die and you could use it every turn.
I mean, that would certainly be pretty good, but like that's like that's like a line. I don't even know, bro.
Yeah.
I just like it feels like it's
Cut that out.
people like to it feels like a field blower bait card too. Like people like want to get rid of it so you can't pivot with Jirachi, and you're like, cool, your field blower's down, so now my parallel is gonna stick, and I'm gonna win the stadium war because I have Lusamine. Like it's just
Right.
it feels good.
Yeah, I think you should give it a try, Tony.
All right, maybe I'll be converted next week.
Oh yeah, but yeah. I mean, nice job, well done on the runs. Sorry that Dillon had to rain on both of your parades.
Back to back too.
Bro
Round
is
4, round 5.
bro is farming the GLCL crew, but not me though. Not me though. Um, I played, like I said, Barbarical Hariyama this week. Took inspiration from the recent top 4 deck list at the last 3K. Had a kind of a similar spread of Pokemon here, but made a good amount of changes, just based on how I like playing the deck. And Andrew also, talking with Andrew before League as well, took some inspiration from him with the Tropical Beach inclusion, which actually came up big. I tossed that into my deck like literally 2 minutes before round 1 because I heard Andrew talking about it in his list, and I was like, that actually sounds pretty good. You can, Goose Hala. If you have a search for a basic Pokemon in hand already, plus Goose Hala, you can get Dogi down turn 1, Goose Hala for Beach and a special energy attached to Dogi and draw up to 7. Like, it just feels so strong. And this deck is all about just wanting to Okidogi as much as possible. And then you have your other attackers to kind of fill in the gaps between Okidogis if you need. But yeah, felt really strong. My one loss was an extremely close game that JD's Hydro Pump deck had, had to come back from. I was down to 1 prize. He had 2 left, and off of like an N to 1 with Wishy Washy active taking a knockout, I couldn't respond because it had has too much HP for my Dogi. I mean, I had Dogi powered up, but I had no damage buff in hand off of the N to 1. I couldn't knock out his Wishy Washy, and then on the following turn, I was telling JD, I was like, I think no matter what I do here, because I had my N to 1 card was Reset Stamp, and then I top decked Tropical Beach. And so I had Dogi active, and I was like, I can swing 170 into this Wishy Washy and keep my hand as low as it is, or I can like just beach up to 7 this turn and hope I find the cards to take a knockout on the following turn. And I showed JD the cards in hand. I was like, here's what I'm thinking about because I was like, it was taking me a while to decide. I was like, this is my card, Tropical Beach. And I told him, I was like, no matter what I choose to do here, if you hex me next turn, like I will lose because I have no other like I have no energy on like my Hariyama. My Riolu is not on board. And if he hexes, he can knock out my Dogi for 1 because it's at 130, and I won't be able to like recover the Dogi with Barbarical because I don't have my abilities. So I was like, I could swing into the Wishy Washy for 170, and then if you hex and take a knockout, then I have like no cards anyways, and you just win that way. So I decided to use Beach for 7 instead of swinging to the Wishy Washy, and I found a lot of cards. But then, like I said, he found the hex on his next turn, and I was like, yep, I can't do anything now, unfortunately. So yeah, that's how I ended up losing that game against JD. It was a really close game, like I said, 1-1 prize at the end. But yeah, the hex at the end, and like I could have attacked with Sudowoodo, but he knocked out Dogi with Wishy Washy with hex, and Watch and Learn doesn't do like nearly enough damage to knock out a Wishy Washy. I think I probably my bust moment, and I was gonna get to this anyways, but my best moment was in this match where the turn I went down to 1 prize. I had a huge hand, and I was like, he's probably gonna end me to 1 or something like that. Like, I don't think I played down my hand like well enough in the situation. I was kind of just like playing quick and was thinking that like I would be fine either way because I had like the Okidogi, but then it wasn't until after he like ended me to 1 that I was like, I probably lose to hex here. I could have played around like both the N and the Hex to maybe get there, but I think I wasn't expecting the Wishy-Washy to swing, which is why I thought like an N to 1 would be fine, was because like my Okidogi could just knock out whatever. He had like
Yeah.
a Kyogre he was getting ready to swing with, but I think he like recovered Wishy-Washy that turn or something, and like hard retreated his Kyogre to swing with Wishy-Washy instead. So like really good play by JD, and I just don't think I played enough to that out, unfortunately, and he got it. But it was a fun game. The deck incredibly strong. Like Barbarical and Hariyama are just really good guys. I knocked out I OHKO'd one of JD's Wailord on one of the turns with Hariyama plus Premium Power Pro. So like having that as an option is just like just so nice for a fighting deck right now. Wailord is like before you kind of just like expect to have to swing twice into it or go around it. You just have this big guy Hariyama that can do 210 and gust him up. So I knocked out his Wailmer once by gusting it up, and then I ended up knocking out the Wailord as well with the Hariyama. So Hariyama really pulled a lot of weight in the water matchup. I played against 3 water decks this week, which was crazy. And unfortunately lost to JD. But yeah, I think Barbarical and Hariyama, really strong cards right now. I think Hariyama's crazy, and especially after seeing it in action at the 3K. To me, it's kind of like a staple in fighting right now, or should be. Like especially if Archaludon's running around, like this thing kind of destroys that. I wanted to show off Andrew's list as well. Like we have some differences in our list. He doesn't play the Lucario, which I do right now, which I actually did find myself not benching Railu a lot because my bench would get so full. Like if you have Dogi active, then you have Lunatone Solrock, Barbarical Hariyama. You have one spot left on your bench, and I often would want it to be Sudowoodo or Terrakion, so that like I wouldn't have to also search out a second Pokemon before I could attack, like in that Lucario. Like I wouldn't need to find Lucario to have another attacker ready to go. I just had an attacker on the bench. So I am debating on cutting Lucario. We will see. I don't know. I don't know if you guys have played much around with fighting post 3K or thought about it.
I'm curious. Do we think the Barbarical like Hariyama needed to be like valid as an attacker, and like the Barbarical needed to come out to enable the Hariyama? Because like we didn't see the Hariyama at all when it came out in Mega Evolution. It's just an interesting like development. It's like did Hariyama need Barbarical, or is it because Barbarical's come out now that like there's more people like cooking and like considering different things with fighting that the Hariyama is now a thing?
I think 100%. I think it's not that people were ignoring it, because I think just in the way that RDT was built, which was like the premier fighting deck, you didn't really need it because you had like this spread package anyways, so you're not like necessarily targeting any specific one thing at any given point. So I think Hariyama definitely works better in a like Okidogi focused attacking deck. But prior to Barbarical, that would mean you'd have to play Garganical, and Garganical being a stage 2 is just so it's not even that like you need something to power up Hariyama to attack. It's just like Hariyama didn't make as much sense in like the spread package build, and if you're not playing the spread package build, do you have as much room for Hariyama if you're trying to get a stage 2 up? So I think the fact that Barbarical comes out and allows you, to maybe have a little, slightly more deck space to be able to play the Hariyama, I think is like the biggest factor. And then it's just like an added bonus that it also works really well with powering up Hariyama himself. Especially with Tarragon coming out, like enabling that play is pretty simple. You just have one energy down on your Makuhita at any given point, and you can expect to be able to power him up pretty easily. Even a Raihan from nothing, you can go from 0 to 3 really fast with Hariyama, with Raihan and Barbarical. So yeah, he just gets in there. Like, I think I attacked with him like 3 out of my 5 rounds. Just like incredibly strong, just like nuke to your opponent that is hard for them. It's like, I know you're not gonna like gust around my Dogi really. Like, if you do gust around my Dogi, like, I'm not too mad to be honest. So I'm pretty underwhelmed with Terrakion as always. Like 130 on a revenge attacker who also is like the worst guy you want to start in the active. Being so heavy, like 130, it's just like just barely enough. Like you were saying, like you want Iron Crown to do just 130 for the Dragon matchup, and so Terrakion is like just doing barely enough into things like Dragon and stuff, but it's like absolutely horrendous into Psychic. So that's why I think people have started playing Sudowoodo, is because at least into Psychic, Sudowoodo can take, you know, Okos on Iron Boulder and stuff, whereas Terrakion doesn't get anywhere close.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but it's kind of like, well, I need an extra attacker, and there's not a lot of good options outside of that, like for this energy. You know, you want something that's like ideally 2 energy cost on a basic, and right now, like the best 2 options are Sudowoodo and Terrakion after Okidogi, of course. So,
yeah, the gap between Okidogi and the next best basic attackers in fighting is like a chasm.
It's absolutely insane. Yeah.
You guys are sleeping on Ting-Lu.
Ting-Lu is 3 energy, right? And
Yeah,
also,
not the spread guy, the other guy.
yeah, there's a Ting-Lu that does 220 damage for 3 fighting. But so that's 1, it's 3 energy cost, and 2, if you are damaged, if you have 40 or more damage on you, you can't even use the attack.
Yeah, it's not the best.
Yeah,
it's definitely not the best.
It honestly might be okay in our current full grip meta because there's a lot less Psychic running around, but into Psychic, they can just so easily like Tina Ping plus Monkey Dory to like just shut it off for the entire game, where it's like just completely useless. So
yeah,
you know, but at the same time, it's also like not super necessary because you have Hariyama to hit those like extremely high numbers if you need, you know. So I'm not sure. I'm not really thinking of adding that Ting-Lu in. But yeah, I mean, fighting right now incredibly strong. I have ideas for how I want to adjust it for future weeks. Might have to be taking a break from Diggersby with all this fighting running around right now. Andrew playing in League, hyping up fighting, and I mean, fighting is a good deck. I should just get the badge and move on, right?
That's Tony theory.
Yeah, Tony theory is just play the good deck. Except he keeps saying this, and then he's playing.
Listen. I say this. I'm saying this for the benefit of my castmates. I say this, and then Thursday at 3 p.m. rolls around, and I look at my bag that I haven't touched since last Thursday, and I'm like, I'll just play the same deck again.
Yep. That's too real. Yeah, so I'm excited to see how the deck evolves, see what we can do. But I like the core here. Yeah, and Andrew's deck as well, very strong. Tropical Beach. Yeah, right now after playing with it this week, I'm for sure not cutting it. Yeah, that's where we're at with it.
Did you talk about the game where it literally like put you into the game?
Yeah, my round 1, like right after I added the deck, I added it to the deck. I had like basically a dead hand except Goose-Hala, and I wouldn't have, like, even if I was able to search out Solrock and Lunatone with like Brooklet, I had no basic energy in hand or anything. Like, I just had a couple Pokemon and Goose-Hala and nothing else. So like I just went Tropical Beach, and even after that first Tropical Beach, I didn't really find anything. So I Tropical Beached over the course of 2 turns for like a draw of like 12 cards to get me into the game. So it's just like, what would I have been doing if I hadn't been drawing with Tropical Beach? It's kind of crazy. Tony, what happened to you?
I don't
yeah,
know,
you
bro.
look like you're in witness protection, man.
Oh, we got
What happened to John?
We got John.
Oh, thank
All
God
right,
I'm
we're good.
rescued. There we go.
When John's face is like half, it's so funny. Oh man. But yeah, Tropical Beach absolutely saved me round one. Like I probably would have just lost. I was playing Peacock on Milo Pump, like he had Basculin going. But instead I was able to just start cooking. So yeah, very happy with its inclusion, and definitely won't be cutting it. Yeah, Goose Hall is one of your strongest supporters, and Andrew played Culver's Tenacity. I did not this past week, but I probably should. So we'll see if it makes its way into my deck.
You didn't play Colress?
No, I didn't play Colress.
You didn't play Colress in the Okie Dokie deck, dude?
No, I didn't. I have Avery. He played Parallel. I played Avery because I think with Hariyama,
Oh,
like
you
the
played
limiting.
double basic search stadiums.
I did play double basic stadiums, yeah, plus the Avery. So I'm thinking Avery will become Colress, and then Artisan will come out for Parallel, because I did find, like, especially with Beach in the deck, like I'm not like 100% relying on like one of my basic searches to be in,
Yeah.
not prized, So there was a lot of games where it was getting to the later portions of the game, and I would draw into Artisan or Brooklet Hill, and my bench is full like long time ago, so they were just kind of dead.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think instantly that'll be one of the changes I make is Colress and Parallel. So that was our full grip recap. Congrats to us. Pat myself on the back. All three of us going
No,
4-1.
It felt good to have us all in there.
Yeah.
Felt
Listen,
good.
we can't be patting ourselves. We didn't win. We didn't win the badge.
Tony never satisfied.
It doesn't matter. We didn't win the badge.
Yeah, but we all we all got money this week, which was sick.
Yeah. Money in the GLCL store credit account.
That's right. That's right.
Not good enough for me.
No, I mean, obviously it would be like it's like poker hands, it's like royal flush, and then this is like, obviously number one is one of us getting a badge and then coming in second and third, and like then maybe someone getting a badge just in general is really good, and then after that it's like us all getting top four. That's like, it's like the third
This
best
is literally
thing that
the
could
second
happen.
best we can do. We just all needed to move up like one place. We only have one more spot to go up from here.
It's all Dillon's fault, dude.
Man,
I mean, it is.
It's all
Congratulations,
Dillon's
Dillon, because it is his fault and he earned the win.
hey, you guys, sounds like you guys gave it to him, bro.
I might as well have.
It, like, I sentence you to play 10 games of that matchup and tell me that you could win.
Well, I'm not. I'm saying
Dillon,
I'm saying
Dillon,
I'm playing
an
a different
excellent
deck.
player. Dillon, an excellent player and an excellent deck builder, but man, he I think he played against three. He played against
did.
one more. Yeah, he played against three of these matchups.
The easiest
so,
badge of all time, bro. That's what they're calling it.
Scam. It's
Deck
a Dweech
choice,
scam.
definitely.
He dwammed.
I told you to play fighting, Tony.
I told you to play fighting.
And I did good, and I would not have lost to Dillon.
Listen, bro, there's a what if there.
All right, Dillon quickly becoming the new Alex Carpenter at our locals.
We
stay
love
tuned
Dillon.
to see the hatred for him grow.
Dillon's a beast.
Yeah, we love Dillon. Shout out Dillon.
My close and personal friend Dillon.
Anyways, that is our full grip recap, and now we're gonna start responding to some of your guys' comments from the past week. Thank you to everyone who responded to my post. If we don't respond to your comment tonight, it's because we think that what you commented could make for a better, like, longer episode. So sorry if I didn't mention your comment tonight, but appreciate everyone's input, and these are just more ones that we can quickly address and move on. Starting with our first one from Dweesh himself. He says, mention Tyler Price more, so shout out Tyler Price.
Shout out TP10.
Shout out TP10.
Mm-hmm.
I love saying Tyler Price. Tyler Price. There he is.
Tyler Price.
Sponsor us, Tyler Price. Sponsor us.
Presented by Tyler Price.
We'll put a Badoo in here somewhere. We swear.
Badoo's strongest warrior. This is just a funny screen cap from one of Andrew's streams. I don't know. I wasn't looking at Tyler, but ended up being really funny. He zoomed in on
You
that.
just have a face of vitriol and disgust.
Dude,
Yeah,
yeah.
bro.
This is like one of the most memeable photos I've ever seen one of my friends in before. Like
Literally.
this is so good.
This could go viral for sure.
It's so sick. Tyler's just
GLCL
oblivious.
viewers, take this image and make your best meme with it and send it to us.
I need
Yeah.
to remove Dillon's comment then real quick.
Yeah, it's giving the he's right behind me, isn't he?
Literally. It's like me when Dimension Valley gets banned.
There you
And
go.
I
There
don't
you
know.
go, viewers, and
Something goofy like that.
screenshot it.
GLCL meme contest number 1.
Submit submit
Yo,
your best
The
meme.
meme contest.
Submit your best meme.
That actually goes hard. Shout out Tyler Price for being part of the GLCL meme. All right, from Shuban, shout out Shuban. We've got number 1, personal tier list of GLC staples with and without consideration for the deck color, and also the secret routine for John's fabulous mustache.
Mm.
Before we get to the mustache, tier list of GLC staples. Not gonna do like a full tier list, but what's your like number 1 or number 2 GLC staple cards in your mind?
It's gotta be okay. Number 1, Parallel City is just so strong. I'd say Parallel City's got to go in there, and then I'll shout out my homeboy for number 2 and Bird Keeper. I love me a
Oh
Bird
my
Keeper.
gosh. I would hardly call Bird Keeper a GLC staple.
It's a staple in John's decks.
It is. It's a staple in my decks, dude. I
That's
always
true.
try and get him in there. No,
Yeah.
it'd be like Hex Maniac. I mean, Parallel Hex Maniac feels like the easy for me, but yeah. Tony, what do you think?
I love when I look at a deck that doesn't have the cards Tag Call and Guzmahala, and I love trying to figure out a way to fit those cards into the deck because that engine is so like unique to GLC specifically in the way that like you could make any deck with those 2 cards and you could run with it. So the tag team engine, Tag Call, Guzhala, Cynthia and Caitlyn, just like those can almost be a +3 in any color, any deck. I also want to give a special shout out to Mina, not for the fairy deck, but I love playing Mina in my colorless deck as the way for that like extra energy acceleration.
Mina's actually terrible in fairy decks. Like I don't know if I've ever seen a fairy deck that actually played Mina.
Yeah, it's actually like it's legitimately good in the colorless deck.
Yeah.
Like
when you
it's
have
actually
double
really
energies
good.
and stuff.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite GLC staples has got to be Counter Energy. I think that card is like so incredibly good for the format. It's just so nice to have that option like in the format, you know, just like a double energy for people who are behind. Great. I think that's perfect. And then shout out Pokepad, bro. Shout out Pokepad.
Master Ball.
Shout out
Yep.
Master Ball.
GLC's
All right,
Master Ball.
John, tell us about the mustache.
So, I mean, I feel like I get these questions asked a lot in my personal life, mostly in jest. So I'm assuming it's mostly in jest, but I do use Death Grip for my mustache waxing needs. So shout out Death Grip for keeping the mustache on point. If you're looking for a good mustache wax, Death Grip has got you covered for sure.
Hashtag not sponsored. Hashtag not an ad. Hashtag please sponsor us. Shout out Death Grip.
Please.
Shout out
right.
Death Grip.
Next up, we got a comment from Nerds Being Geeks. First question, do you guys like to bling out your favorite decks or keep it minimal? Personally, I'm a minimal except for full arts. Full art supporters, I should say. So, shout out full art supporters. I do not like reverse hollows really, and if I'm gonna bling like an item card, I don't want like the full art gold cards. Like I don't like those much. So old timey Versus Seeker gold, you know, the old Versus Seeker, those are sick. But yeah, just straight full art supporters, and then that's it.
Yeah, they need to bring back the gold trim. Like the items, the way they're doing them now is like a step in the right direction away from the full gold, but the gold trim that they had on like Versus Seeker Ultra Ball,
Those are
uh,
so clean.
Dive Ball, like all those guys, like had a really, really clean look.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to bling. Like when like my Seismitoad deck is like my mostly bling. I'm missing a few cards, but my mostly blinged out deck right now. And then I keep it minimal for the most part. I don't like to swap things around too much, but for like the big tournaments, like the 3Ks, like I getting ready for metal, I just took all the bling I could find out of my other decks and like threw it into metal. So it was as blinged out as possible for like a big tournament like that. I like to have fun with it. So that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah. I'm an absolutely zero bling person. Like I even it's like when I play standard, I don't even match the arts like in my deck. Like
On
I could
purpose?
play with no, not on purpose. I just that's just something I don't really have a preference for. Like the other day I was looking through old deck lists and I came across a deck that I want to league up with, and there's just 3 different Ultra Balls in the deck. And I just like in my metal deck, I probably have like 6 different types of metal energy in the deck. They're not matching at all.
That's beast, but
So I
also
just
very annoying.
yeah, I'm not a bling guy. Whatever I get my hands on first. Could be a full art, could be regular art. I don't mind.
Whatever you got. Yeah. You have
Yep,
like
whatever I got.
card of each GLC card. Like you
Yeah,
only have one deck at a time, right?
I don't buy multiple copies. I just switch everything in and out depending on what deck I'm playing.
See, that's why he's still playing the metal deck, guys, because he doesn't
Yeah,
have any other deck built.
because I
He
don't have
has to
another deck
switch.
built. I have deck boxes full of half built decks, and then the staples just get transferred in between each deck. If you want to change that, sponsor the GLCL.
Send Tony a little walking
Give me
around
a
money.
little bit of walking around money. Yeah.
Tony's got to
Second,
win his badge, use the winnings to fund his next deck.
literally. The second part of the question is: do you always play the most optimal cards, or does your favorite Pokemon/trainer card affect how you build the deck? Example might be keeping a card in that might not be the best for the overall deck, but you love it so much you have to play it. I mean, I guess it varies. Like if we're talking strictly competitive, and I'm like going to league to win a badge, uh, yeah, I'm just gonna play whatever I think is the most optimal. I don't, I don't necessarily have my favorite Pokemon's Blastoise, and if I played Hydro Pump, I wouldn't be playing Blastoise right now. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, I find myself more on the side of the cards I play with, and I think a lot of old head TCG players relate to this. Is like the cards you played with that were good in decks sort of start to become your favorite Pokemon. Like I didn't really like Seismitoad that much because he's a ugly lumpy toad, but then I love the effect on the card and how it plays. So I'm like, dude, I love Seismitoad now. So um that and like also re-shouting out Birdkeeper from earlier because like it's not always a good card. I just love that effect. I love drawing more cards and motion in my deck. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm again the boring answer. Pretty much strictly like optimal cards. I did give a shout out to Mina in the colorless deck earlier, so I guess you could say that like that's like the closest, but like that card's still good in the deck.
It's not because
But
you
if
are a
you
huge Mina fan. It's
no,
because you
it's not
think
because
it's
I'm a
good in the
huge.
deck. Yeah.
It's good, but like you could play Mela. Like it's kind of like that comes down to like personal preference. You can play Mela, Fire Energy, but I prefer to play Mina, and maybe a little bit just the fact that I get to play Fairy Energy in a deck that like can
True.
actually win the game.
True. Yeah. I did want to say like playing optimal cards like doesn't mean I'm like only ever playing the same 60 cards. Like there's room for kind of like what Tony was saying. There's room for like creativity in there, but I'm not basing my choice off of whatever image is on the card.
Yeah, if
It's all about what I want the card to accomplish.
yeah, if my favorite Pokemon was I don't know Beheeyem, I'm not gonna build like the Beheeyem Psychic deck.
Sounds busted actually.
Whatever you said.
Next up, shout out Trevor Wong Music. How to convince his local game store to have a weekly league night. They have GLC once every 2 months in his city, which sucks. First, a lot of sympathy for you. Can't imagine. That would suck.
Only playing GLC once every 2 months. I couldn't
Oh,
imagine it.
yeah, that's brutal. I mean, yeah, John, what's your recommendation?
um I mean, none of us like we're all very fortunate to be in the heart of where GLC started, so none of us really had to push for a league to be created. But yeah, I don't know, like some things that I feel like makes it so that like when we're offering for like standard players who play a standard at like full grip to come play, like creating is the fact that we always have decks on hand is always like a good, just make it as easily accessible for people as possible. So like always having extra decks on hand, saying like you don't even have to worry about like thinking about the format or creating a deck, just show up and you can play. So like that's for like once you have a league going, like getting more people to come. And if you're doing it, if it's only happening once every 2 months, you can maybe convince them, hey, if we've got more people, maybe we can meet up more often. um yeah, and then just like I'll reiterate, just like the draw of the badge system. If you don't have that in place already, that's something like I know competition really heated up once that started. So like some incentive to come play to win your badge can also draw some people in. So, but actually, like convincing a store like, hey, we should be running this is like a whole another thing that like I don't have experience with. So
I think,
yeah.
yeah, I think it's like a two-step thing. Like John said, like you just have to make it easy for people. So if you don't already have people around you that are also interested in this, then the first step is, you know, sharing the good news about GLC, bring an extra deck so people can try it out. Once you have multiple people that want to play more than every 2 months, yeah, like John said, kind of just start showing up, especially at the league, at the shop that you're trying to convince. So if you can like not on like any organized night through the shop, but if they have like an open play space, just if you guys can like more consistently just show up and just tell them, hey, we're here to play GLC together, and they just see that happening, you know, they should take note that obviously this is a game mode that is bringing people into the store, and it should hopefully at that point that you've already done all the work for them. They all they have to do is just take signups at that point to make it like official. Um, but that I mean, if you're trying to convince them, I think that would be the best way to convince them.
Also point out to them, like, I don't know exactly how it works, but I'm pretty sure like just more people attending more league nights for like sanctioned Pokemon events, because you can sanction GLC nights, like creates more allocation and stuff for the score when they're trying to get product and stuff like that. So like make sure that that's a good bargaining chip that you have.
That's right. Yeah. Any thoughts, Tony?
Not really, no.
All right, Trevor.
The other store we go to on Tuesday nights, I just happen to be good friends with the two judges, so I brought it up to them, and I was like, hey, let's, we don't have to do GLC every week, but if we could get like every other week and keep it at the same price point that Full Grip does, then like I can promise you that people will show up, and that's exactly what happened. We get 10 to 15 every other Tuesday there.
Yeah.
Tony also put in the legwork of being in the Discord like every week, begging, pleading people to come
Come with
play
GLC.
GLC at the nights that he convinced, the shop owners and to host the night. So
Yeah.
just be
Because
the
there,
be the squeaky wheel, be the squeaky
yeah,
wheel. You'll get the
there
grease.
there was an ongoing joke where if we didn't hit 10 people for like a week, like 2 weeks in a row, that they were gonna cancel it and they were gonna blame it on me. So I was like, come,
Please.
like everybody, please, I need this.
Yeah. And we got there. I think we got 10 on week
We,
2.
I think we did too.
But yeah. Yeah, just be showing up. If they have the open play space, just use it and just like have them see you. So good luck, Trevor. I hope it works out. All right. Shout out Schwa Boogie. Question 1 pretty much answered in our previous comment, but his second question is the often overlooked dynamics of deck building for best deck informant mirrors in a top heavy meta. Uh, we've mentioned that the Psychic Mirror is a very interesting matchup, which got him thinking about my Journey Together 3K colorless list having cool text for the mirror, specifically cards like Enhanced Hammer, Countercatcher, Lost Vacuum. Those are like the big 3 at the time then. But yeah, just like, okay, so going into, if you're playing the BDIF, So say for the past 3K, it was Natu Blindside, and you're expecting to hit a lot of other Natu Blindside decks. Teching is very interesting because it is so like deck dependent. My theory behind teching is like you tech because your deck is struggling into a specific thing that your opponent is trying to do that you expect to see. So it's like my deck at its based form, like without any techs per se, will struggle if this happens to me. And so that's when you like add techs in to like improve that matchup. So for example, if you're expecting a lot of Tyrantrum, and like say your deck does not hit for weakness, so it's not a grass deck, thumbs up. It doesn't hit for weakness. You don't play Hexmaniac, and you don't play Enhanced Hammer, and you're expecting to see Tyrantrum. I would recommend teching for Tyrantrum. Like that's something that could cause a lot of problems for your deck theoretically, because it's very hard for any deck to hit 300 plus HP. So it just depends on what you expect to see and what your deck already can deal with. Like maybe water, maybe Hydro Pump does not need to play any of those cards or tech for Tyrantrum because you have Kyogre to snipe the fossil if you want. You have Whale Lord to hit infinite numbers as well. So that's like an example of a deck that wouldn't necessarily need any of those cards that I previously mentioned to beat Tyrantrum per se. So yeah, like it was super deck dependent. But in the mirror specifically, it just depends. Like the Psychic Natu Blindside mirror, outside of like Bench Barrier for like blindside plays, it's hard to really think of any specific techs because like I'm thinking about like there's nothing that my opponent is going to put into the active that like my Pokemon can't already knock out, like I have ways to deal with everything. So I think that's why we see things like Winter's deck doesn't necessarily have any specific techs to counter other Natu decks. It's just like a very strong, very consistent Natu deck because you already have all the tools there you need to overcome other Natu decks. So it's like by virtue of just being the most consistent version of it, you will have a decent time into it. So that's like, you guys can add in here. That was kind of like a long-winded way of saying like it very much depends on what your deck can do and what you expect other people to be doing to you.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said, Ben. The techs are very specific to not necessarily a deck, but just like a line of play or a certain Pokemon or something that like your deck is really struggling to handle. I think an instance of like a very specific teching for a very specific mirror matchup that we saw in the 3K. I talked about it a little bit at the end of our discussion last week when we talked about or the week before when we talked about these decks. But the Girafarig in the Not Too Blindside decks, I really seems like a really good target for the Giratina. The Giratina being like the only thing that pings damage to be able to blindside and take the 2 prize turn. So lost zoning that really hinders in that mirror match your opponent taking the 2 prize turn, where you can find the way to do that and win that matchup. So like that's it doesn't happen often, but like that's a very specific tech that I think we saw for a mirror match. But in general, I think like your techs, though not necessarily like the best for the specific thing you're teching for. Sometimes I like, personally, this is just teching in general, like to see more broad things like you were mentioning in fighting, playing like an e-hammer to be able to turn off the abilities. But whereas if you don't have hex in your deck already, playing something like a hex maniac can be a lot more effective against other decks than like an e-hammer is if you're seeing water decks or grass decks that E-Hammer doesn't really have much use case in. So not necessarily finding, like, not getting so narrow-minded and being like, okay, I need a tech for this mirror, like at the 3K in a room full of psychic blindside decks, like the Girafarig was like a really good tech, but like in a more open meta, you kind of need to be more open with your techs and more broad, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. The journey together, yeah. I think kind of going off of what you said about Girafarig, it seems like there's like kind of two. There's probably more, but I'm gonna say there's two different directions you can go with text. You can go with like the Tyrantrum example, where it's like I need a direct counter to something that my deck will struggle against. Therefore, I'm gonna play this card, or I'm gonna play something that will slow down what I consider to be the best deck and help me get an edge that way, so that would, like, the Giraffe Rig falls under that. And then the stuff for the my colorless list back in the day, for the colorless mirror, that's what those would fall under as well. It's just like the combination of E-Hammer, Countercatcher, and Lost Vacuum aren't cards that are targeting any specific line of play on my opponent's side or any specific Pokemon that's going to give me problems. It's just generally, it's like, in my thought process with those was like, it's going to be an aggro versus aggro, who can go fastest meta in the colorless decks. And so, like, God forbid I end up going behind in this aggro format where we're just trading back and forth. What can I do to, like, come back from that? Like, I need to find a way to win when I'm not winning at the beginning. So that was like the thought process there. Like, if I'm already winning and I don't need those cards, great. Like, they're not going to see use, really, but it means I'm already winning, so it's fine. But matches I'm losing, they could end up making a big difference, because you want to hit the Bibarel with Countercatcher, you want to Lost Vacuum, the only tool they had in U-turn board, or you want to Enhanced Hammer their double energy before they can use it while attacking their active energy, so all three of those combined allowed for very strong comeback potential in this aggro versus aggro mirror that we were expecting. So that's where those techs were born out of. But yeah, very specific to, like, those are very specific to what I wanted hit. But yeah, like John's saying, like, there's also a lot of value in finding cards that will be good in as many situations as possible. So, like, all those cards I mentioned are good against almost every deck that I would go behind against. Like, except for like Enhanced Hammer might not be good versus every deck. But like Lost Vacuum, Countercatcher, those are always good cards if you're behind. So, and like Hex Maniac is very valuable no matter what you're playing against. So those are some of our thoughts.
Forget about reset stuff, bro.
Reset Stamp. Oh yeah, Reset Stamp, broken card.
Yeah.
And it's like in combination with all those things. Like, the colorless deck was just so busted because you had so much room to fit all those cards, and when you have all of them, you can just make some insane plays. A Reset Stamp, Countercatcher, and Enhanced Hammer, and a Hex Maniac in the same turn. Like, wrap it up.
Yeah. Felt so good to use like multiple of those pieces. They're like designed to be used like one after another.
Oh yeah, that's like the best way they work. Yeah, one after the other. So.
E-Hammer the bench guy, Countercatcher the guy that draws, Lost Vacuum the retreat tool, Reset Stamp low. Bang.
Yeah.
It's a tournament winning strategy right there.
Yeah, it's much harder to. I like John was saying. I like the Giraffe Rig as a way to counter like a very specific, strong piece of the meta, which was the Giratina. But it's that, like, that alone is still not enough to necessarily win you the game. So you just kind of have to weigh that option as well. Like, if your opponent doesn't have Giratina, they still have the rest of their deck to work with that can theoretically still win with. So you kind of have to make this balance. And we saw that Nathaniel ended up losing to Winter in the final. So you kind of have to have this balance of like, how is this deck spot gonna come up like enough or like be worth enough to to actually make a difference, you know. So like,
Yeah.
you just got to think about that as well. But yeah. Anything you want to
I
add,
think
Tony?
yeah, I think sometimes when you are in like the specific situation of where you're teching for like BDIF versus BDIF, like you're playing the BDIF and you want to specifically tech for the mirror. I think like something that's super underrated is just like not necessarily playing direct counter cards, but just playing cards that like will make your deck more consistent than their deck. So like the biggest example I can think of is like Winter playing Tropical Beach in their deck, where like as not a lot of other I haven't looked at every deck list, but I can't imagine there were more than one other blindside at that event playing a Tropical Beach in their deck, and cards like that, like cards that get you into the game, like can make the world an insane difference. So sometimes just like not necessarily playing specific counter cards, like I said, but making sure that your deck, on average, um, works better than their deck.
Yeah. I think Winter was fine to not necessarily like hard tech for the mirror because, like I said, like you can get rid of your opponent's Giratina, but they could still win. So it's like maybe just
Yeah,
like if you can still win without needing like a really hard tech, like maybe just play cards that will,
yeah.
like Tony's saying, boost your strategy. But this is a
And
good
if
time.
yeah, if you're in like a BDIF versus BDIF situation, you kind of like you can't overly tune your deck to beat the other best deck. So you kind of just like have to have confidence in yourself to like be able to win the mirror.
Well, I think it's still
So
situational. I think it's still very situational. It just like so happens that like Psychic was in that bubble, but
yeah,
kind of like we were saying, like if Tyrantrum is the BDIF, I think you for sure tech for
yeah,
the mirror there, like
Mhm.
because you want to get an
100%,
edge over their Tyrantrum, and to do that you
100%.
need cards like Enhanced Hammer, Hex Maniac, So
Yeah,
it is very, but at that point, so yeah, it's just very depends on what the deck is and what the
yeah,
weaknesses of the deck is and what are problem spots you can point out to in matchups where it's like, okay, if this happens to me, I could see it being a way I lose, so therefore I should tech for it.
yeah.
But this is a good time to shout out on my website, morsemakes.com. I've uploaded every single deck list, all 100 deck lists from the Perfect Order 3K, as well as the standings. So if you go to glc.morsemakes.com, there's a little tab on the left here that says 3K results. Click on Perfect Order, and you can come here. You can click on any of the lists on the right, and it will bring up one of those options. So let's click on Josh Frank, 10th place, not too blindside, no tropical beach.
Hmm.
Not to say, Josh played Mystery Garden, which is another draw stadium, pretty good, but
Mhm.
not very useful if you have a dead hand. But yeah, I get,
Certainly is no tropical beach.
yeah. Not saying necessarily one is better than the other, but one, all we can know is that one of them won the tournament and one of them didn't. So
Truth and noob.
Exactly.
oh, wrong way. Jaboingus, shout out Jaboingus on YouTube. Check out Jaboingus's YouTube channel for additional GLC content if you're interested. Has some nice little commentary videos on different topics. But Jaboingus's comment here says maybe a top 3 of each of our favorite decks of all time in GLC. So in all of history, what's been our favorite decks to play? I mean, I gotta shout out my Journey Together colorless deck. Just a great memory. That's my number one. So, anybody, what do you guys what comes to mind for you guys?
I mean, I've shouted out enough on here. I love my Seismitoad deck. Yeah, that's got to be like my number one for sure. And then back in like the olden days, like the first like couple years of GLC when it was like the Wild Wild West, I was playing the um, Sinister Hand Dust Noir with the damage counter doubling Lunala. And there was like it was a deck that had like no support like draw support. Like I don't think it had like the curly line in it. It's just like crazy looking back at it. The deck was just vibes. It was like just hope you draw into what you need. But it was so fun to just like move. Hunter, one of our locals we talked about a million times now. He bought specifically clear dice because I was playing the Sinister Hand Desnor deck so much, and he was so annoyed by it. He wanted to be annoying and have like clear dice that you could barely see the damage counters on
Oh my
to buy
gosh.
them. He's told me that a few times. So that was just so fun to like move the damage counters around and like double them and just like pull off some like crazy plays. So love that deck back in the day. It's a shell of its former self now with the power creep of everything else. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I think my answer is also gonna have to be the Turbo Colorless deck. It's the deck that got me into GLC, and specifically the list that you won the 1K with. Like being in the room when that deck was made, and like also like even though I didn't make cut that tournament, got super close, but like just being involved in the process was so sick. Deck that got me into GLC, and it was definitely a cool experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any other special mentions? What's your number 2?
The Dwixty.
The Dwixty is cracked.
The
Of
Dwixty.
course.
That's fun.
Dude, I have so many games with that deck, and it's like the most agency over the board I've ever felt in a game of GLC.
It's
It's so insane.
it's incredibly fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think mine number 2 is I always go back to just like first month of GLC Hydro Pump, watching Jesse Parker on stream with Andrew and stuff. Like that's that just kind of was what got me hooked. It's the first deck I bought. Always was one of my favorite decks to play. And then my number 3 would probably be Special Whales. I think like I love that deck. I love creating an unkillable guy. So it's kind of evolved into like what Milo Pump is now. Like that's kind of taken the spot. It's definitely the better version of the old Special Whales deck, but I also am just anytime Swampert hits the board in water, it just like feels so incredible. Like I'm just like I'm drawing everything I could ever want. So I just wish that Milo Pump could also fit Swampert in, and then we'd be golden. So those are some of my favorites. But let us know your favorites down below. Historic, what's the deck that got you guys into GLC? Not you too, but our viewers. Let us know. And then from Duck Dad, shout out Duck Dad, another semi full grip local, comes out every once in a while. Also has a YouTube channel with some GLC content, so check that out. Favorite off meta decks, okay, we'll answer the second part of this question first, then we'll get to the favorite off meta decks. Second part is, what do you think is missing from GLC YouTube? Interesting to think about. I mean, the number one thing I think is missing is a daily upload, game of the day, Little Dark Fury style. And a big reason that we don't have that is because of how difficult it is to play GLC online. But that's what I think is missing. Just like someone that just pumps out matches with different decks every day. And I've always said if GLC becomes fully playable on TCG Live, I will become that in a heartbeat.
That's pretty much exactly what I was gonna say. Like it's not necessarily it's missing from YouTube because it doesn't exist at all. It's like not saying that like LDF is like is fits this description, but like the PTCGL like slop, just like put out like the content, just like games like because it's just when you're playing it online and the client and stuff, it's just like quicker and like snappier and stuff like that, just like sometimes easier to watch. You have to really put on like a big production to do like tabletop gameplay. Like, Andrew's a great example of that. And there are other channels that like really do like nice like tabletop gameplay. But there's a lot of work that goes into that. You can't just like pump that content out really quickly. So just like, yeah, like exactly like you said, just like daily or like 3 times a week content upload of just like games and matchups. If you're looking for that stuff, I know Turbo Blaze does put out like just like different matchups and then VODs from their streams and their tournaments and stuff like that. So you can check those out too. But just like Yeah, really, really hurting with not having a client to play GLC on.
Yeah, the lack of like it's so easy to just like farm the content when you have the client to play on because again, like you said, you could just go game after game after game, cut it up, make a nice like decent sized video. Um, and people love like that. People love like the cool deck, like unique deck, off meta deck, like playthrough and like working through the turns and stuff. And that's just like something that we don't have the luxury of. But
Yeah.
yeah, that'd probably be also my number one. That's something that we need for sure.
Yeah.
We'll have to do something fun when Trainer Trials comes back on, just like some kind of little challenge or I don't know, some little content blurb with that.
If they did, it would be so sick if they brought friend battles though, because then we could do like GLCL like little matchups between
Oh,
each
that's right. You
other.
can't play against each other with
Yeah.
Oh,
trainer
with the
trial
trainer
modes.
trials, I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
That's upsetting.
I
Man, PTCGL.
Yeah.
Or what are we doing?
yeah, what a major flop. So
Jeez.
yeah, hopefully someday. But yeah, favorite off meta decks. We each selected one deck to show off just in the current, or recent format that is on our minds that we wanted to show you guys. So, first one that I've been thinking about since I saw it a couple months ago is Mickey's Garbodor spread deck, featuring Uxie, featuring the worst gift. I think that's the tech Mimikyu, so not even copycat Mimikyu, as well as Blacephalon. And Mickey won an online tournament with this, like going 4-0, and I honestly would have thought this would be a good play to the last 3K if for the fact that I might have seen a Cresselia in the field. So this deck just insta loses to Cresselia. If I thought for sure there was no Cresselia in the field, I genuinely think this deck could have done pretty decently. So that's the reason why I didn't really test it that much, but
We were testing something pretty similar to this for a couple of games, I remember.
yeah, early on I was like, Tony, play
Yeah.
against the Garb spread deck,
Play.
please. And
Yeah,
I mean,
bro.
it works. Like it's fun. It's fun and it's pretty good. And the damage counters get through bench barriers and stuff and stack up really quick. And the Garbodor, especially like into the Natu blindside decks, is like, oh, you're spreading damage. They can just Monkey Dory and things like that. Like Garbodor shuts that off as well. So, and you can spread and skip their Blacephalon turn, even though your guys are so small. And the Mimikyu and the Wobbuffet both have Oko potential on things like Wailord and stuff. So, the deck has options. Like I'm not like shout out Mickey for cooking this up. What I was testing is not necessarily this exact 60 group of cards, but the overall idea behind the deck is there. And I wanted to just pull up the Mimikyu so you guys can see it, because I definitely knocked out like a Wailord or something with it against Tony. I remember. Yeah,
I
worst
think it
gift.
was an Okie dokie.
This deck does 10 damage for each damage counter on all of your opponent's Pokemon. So not just like on their active Pokemon, but all of their Pokemon. So you just spread a couple times with Uxie and stuff. And if they have a full bench and you Uxie, that's 120 damage on board. So that's already 120 damage from that Mimikyu is swinging. So you do it twice, you're swinging for 240. Then 2 Uxies and you're knocking out a Wailord with Mimikyu. And that's just like, you have other things to boost those numbers as well. So kind of strange to not play Copycat Mimikyu. And again, like this is definitely off meta, but it's one that I
Deck
think
is so close
yeah.
to being able to handle Cresselia too, because there's a Mimikyu. I remember you played this and I was like kind of curious about it, so I looked into it because I was like, I think there's a Mimikyu that prevents healing, and there's a Mimikyu that says your opponent's Pokemon cannot be healed. But I had to go into the rulings to make sure because I wasn't exactly sure on this. But the Cresselia moving the damage counters does not count as healing, so like this doesn't even get around the Cresselia, because I was like, dang, this would be
Reaper's
so
Ink
cool if you
strikes
just play this
again.
Mimikyu.
Chris,
Yeah.
Cresselia is broken.
It is. So
True.
yeah, you can't stop. It really can't do anything in the Cresselia,
Yeah, so
unfortunately.
give this deck a shot if you're not expecting any Cresselia in the room. And this is this was like back in like November, December or something. So you got to update it with Pokepad, Telepath Energy, things like that. But yeah, shout out Mickey. Cool deck. I think it's sick. Tony cooked.
I did cook.
Tony cooked.
Listen, there's like not really a joke going around, but I like to mention that at the end of last season, on just like a random week, I was like, screw it, I'm gonna build my own fire deck and play it. And I brought it to full grip, brought it to Thursday night, and I went 4-1 with it, and I just never ever touched the fire cards ever again, even though this deck actually felt incredible to play. It felt like actually so high powered. And now I know fire is not the best type, not an ideal type even, but this list like baffles me that I haven't not even tried it since, and like something that I'm gonna be looking into maybe if I get another badge or two. But yeah, just like a fire deck with, the Mag Cargo, and got the Chi-Yu and the new Rapidash. I guess not very new anymore, but it was very new when I played this deck. So you kind of have like the quick search engine with the Mag Cargo plus the Rapidash, put it on top of your deck, draw the card. Um, and I was super dead set on playing this Blaziken that also had just come out, which does not or 120 to the active, 120 to the bench for 3 if you discard all the energies. So my whole strategy is built around this Blaziken getting an attack. So I played counter energy, reversal energy, burning energy, all synergizing with the Blaziken, to like eventually get an attack off. Played counter gain as well to try to loop it. Um, and yeah, this deck, I just very vividly remember that one week, and it was so much fun. So maybe I'll have to pick this up again.
Yeah, you also got the Skeledirge in there.
Yep.
Skeledirge is so powerful.
It's such an insane attacker. Like
It's Palkia
my
V-Star,
theory
bro.
was like my theory was
Yeah.
like if I build either one of these guys, like I should win the game. Like I should win the game. Like come on, like it's that good. You just got to get
Ah,
there is the problem.
I mean, results vary, okay? Play this at your own
Yeah.
risk.
Yeah.
But this
Listen,
is
I'm insanely proud of my 4-1 week, but I also know that this is a fire deck. So
And John, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I talking with Dillon a little bit just passively at locals about the idea of playing a metal energy focused dragon deck. You've got the Necrozma that can hit for 170 and discard an energy. You need to turn off its ability in most cases because it can only attack if your opponent has 2 or fewer prize remaining. But a really efficient attacker there, 2 energy for 170, tried and true on Boulder and Dogi. With the then you've also got like the Hackstress that also attacks for metal energy, and then the Dialga as well. So neither Dylan or I like had put a list together. So shout out to Jamoingus once again. I just went on Cardboard Warriors, search Dragon, search Dialga, and he had a pretty good list here put together, just to kind of show the concept that I was hoping to build at some point. But he already has a really good uh, structure to it here already, it looks like. So the Dialga has a really cool first attack that is essentially Cypher Maniacs. It just lets you, for 1 energy, search for 2 cards and put them on top of your deck. So just like sets yourself up for the game. So a really good attacker there. And then another thing I'd thought about too that's not a metal necessarily, but does fill the psychic that both the Dialga and the Necrozma do is there's a um, I always blank. I always want to say Cyclizar, but it's not Cyclizar. It's the future Pokemon of Cyclizar.
Miraidon?
It's the
oh,
box legendary Miraidon. Yeah, I don't know why. I can never. It's like the most obvious Pokemon. The Miraidon. It's a future Pokemon. It does 40 damage for its first attack, and then accelerates energies to itself, or to any
Any future
future
Pokemon.
Pokemon. But
He's the
yeah,
only
but
one.
there's only one Dragon future Pokemon. So, but it does 160 with like no drawbacks or anything for a Psychic Lightning. Lightning. And you're already playing the Lightnings in this deck too, so just another consideration that I thought could be pretty good. So it's like there's some psychic and metal stuff that Dragon has going on that might be a little underexplored. So check out the Jaboingus list that we've got. You can search it up on Cardboard Warriors too if Ben doesn't inevitably post the lists on Twitter at some point, as he always does.
We'll see.
Yeah. So, but yeah, if you're looking to try like a different version of Dragon, this is something I've thought about, and Jaboingus here put into practice. So
Cam was also playing this for a while. Not this specifically, but Cam, one of
Yeah,
other locals.
they had a really similar build.
Yeah, with the Dialga, and Dialga's first attack, getting your deck into the game, it worked a lot of the time, and kind of underrated. But yeah, those are our picks.
Stack of research, a double Dragon energy, and just like
go
Yeah,
off to the races.
just go.
Pretty scary. That's gonna do it, though. Shout out everybody who left a comment for us. And like I said, if we didn't get to your comment, it's probably because it's a topic for a longer video. But thank you so much for your interaction, of course. Yeah, any closing final remarks from you guys before John closes us out?
Nothing crazy for me. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the support. We appreciate it.
RIP D Valley once again, one last time. Moment of silence for our fallen friend. Shout out Dillon, your public enemy #1 now. We're coming for you next week. The rest of y'all, thanks for hanging out with us. We will GL see you next time.
Bye.
Peace.